Hello everyone, today is October the 13th, 2024. This is Wes Fryer, and this is just a brief introduction to an AI-powered audio summary of 2 essays. So starting this evening, our church, Caldwell Presbyterian, is hosting some online gatherings at 7 p.m. on Google Meet, and those links have been shared via email. We have, as a stewardship committee this year, selected the book Called to Community, The Life Jesus Wants for His People. And I'll have a link here at the bottom that is a page where you can access the study guides that we're putting together for each of these meetups. And that's going to include videos like this one, which just have a short little introduction, but mainly about a 7 to 8 minute audio summary created with the AI tool called Notebook LM. And what Notebook LM lets us do is put in some content, in this case, these 2 chapters written by Thomas Merton and Søren Kierkegaard on love, and create a discussion about it. And so as you prepare for this online discussion, or whether you're watching this later or whenever you happen to be watching this and listening to this, hopefully this will be helpful. I hope this is helpful to you as you prepare for discussions that we're going to have online, or even more likely, you're watching this and investigating these themes. So please take a look at the links that I'll have down in the show notes, because you can get a link to the book itself, as well as the other resources and study guides that we're providing for this series of meetings. Thanks, and hope to see you online soon.
So love, huh? You've really been diving deep into love. Thomas Merton and Søren Kierkegaard. Fascinating choices.
I think...
I was ready to see what you've got for us. I have to admit, I always get a little fired up when we've got religious thinkers in the mix.
Yeah.
They just have a way of cutting straight to the core of things,
Absolutely. And what strikes me about Merton and Kierkegaard is that even though they come from a faith perspective, their insights about love are surprisingly universal.
Okay, so give us a taste.
Yeah.
What are some of the big ideas that jumped out at you from these writings?
Well, for starters, both Merton and Kierkegaard are really pushing back against this idea of love as like a purely passive feeling. They both see it as an active choice, a commitment to the good of the other person.
I love that. It's not just something that happens to you, it's something you do.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
So where do we see this active love in their work?
Well, Merton really digs into this with his concept of unselfish love, which he says is all about putting the happiness of the beloved above everything else.
See, that almost sounds impossible, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, how can you truly put someone else's happiness above your own?
It's a beautiful paradox.
Yeah.
Merton says true unselfish love actually thrives on reciprocation. Not because it needs something in return, but because it delights in seeing the beloved embrace that same selflessness. Yeah. It's like giving a gift.
Right.
Seeing someone cherish that gift and perhaps even use it to spread joy to others. That's where the true fulfillment comes in.
I can see that. It's like that warm feeling you get when your love is reflected back to you. But not in a narcissistic way. More like we're in this together spreading the love kind of way.
Exactly. But, yeah, and this is where Merton really challenges us. He says true unselfish love requires truth. It's not about blind sentimentality or pretending everything's perfect.
It's about really seeing the other person's flaws and still choosing to love them.
Precisely. And that means respecting their autonomy. Merton has this incredibly powerful line, "I cannot be united in love with a person whose very personality my love tends to obscure, to absorb, and to destroy."
Wow. That is powerful. It makes me think about those relationships where even with the best intentions, you can feel suffocated. Yeah. Like you're losing yourself in someone else's idea of who you should be.
Yeah. And Merton's giving us the language to understand that dynamic.
Right.
Even well-intentioned love can be harmful if it doesn't allow space for the other person to truly be themselves.
It makes you wonder, where does this kind of love come from? How do we tap into that kind of radical acceptance and selflessness?
Well, Merton being Merton, he grounds this whole idea of love in something bigger than ourselves.
Okay.
He talks about a shared source of goodness that transcends our individual egos.
So for those of us who aren't coming from a religious perspective, how can we connect with that idea? What does that shared source look like? in a more everyday sense.
Yeah, it's about finding common ground beyond the surface level. It's that feeling of deep connection you get when you share core values, a common purpose, a commitment to something larger than just your own desires.
Right. Right.
That's...
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. It's like the difference between the fleeting excitement of a wild night out and the quiet joy of coming home to someone who really knows you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And while Merton focuses on this more spiritual dimension of love, Kierkegaard, our other philosopher of love today, brings us down to earth with a more practical approach to cultivating love in our relationships.
Okay, so what does Kierkegaard have to say about this whole love as an action thing?
Well, he throws us a real curveball. He says we actually cultivate love in others by already assuming it's there.
Wait, what? You mean we should just pretend someone loves us even if they're acting totally unlovable?
It's not about being naive. It's about making a conscious choice to see the potential for love even when it's hidden. Have you ever had a coworker or a family member who seemed impossible to deal with, but something shifted when you started looking for the good in them?
I see what you mean. So instead of getting bogged down in the negativity, we should be looking for those little glimmers of hope, those hints of goodness that might be buried beneath the surface.
Exactly. It's about choosing to believe that love is always a possibility, even in challenging situations. Kierkegaard compares it to the way nature works, quietly nurturing a seed into growth without any fanfare or expectation.
Okay.
You know?
That's such a beautiful image. So we're not talking about forcing someone to love us, but creating the conditions where love can flourish.
Absolutely. And that takes patience. Kierkegaard talks about how love doesn't insist on its own way. It doesn't demand immediate results. It's about playing the long game, trusting that our belief in the other person can actually call forth their best selves.
It reminds me of that saying, people may not remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel.
Right.
Maybe it's those consistent acts of love, those quiet gestures of faith that really make the difference in the long run.
I think so. He even says love makes itself inconspicuous, especially when it works hardest. It's not about grand gestures, but about the day-to-day practice of choosing love even when it's hard. And that's a thread that runs through both Merton and Kierkegaard's work. The distinction between simply liking someone and truly loving them.
Right.
You know?
That's huge. We throw those words around all the time,
Oh.
but they're talking about two very different things, aren't they?
Absolutely. For both of them, love isn't just about those warm, fuzzy feelings, those moments of connection and enjoyment. It's about making a conscious commitment to the other person's good, even when it's tough, even when they're not being particularly lovable.
So it's about seeing beyond those surface level qualities and recognizing the inherent goodness within each person.
Yeah, you really do. Merton would say it's about seeing that spark of divinity within them. It's about making a conscious effort to look beyond the flaws and imperfections and choosing to focus on that potential for goodness.
Yeah, it makes you think, who in our lives could benefit from that kind of generous perspective? It's easy to love the people who are easy to love.
Right.
Right. But what about those relationships that feel more challenging?
That's where this idea of presupposing love, of stubbornly clinging to the belief in someone's inherent goodness, can be so transformative. It's about approaching those relationships with curiosity and compassion rather than judgment.
It's like we're both gardeners and detectives.
Yeah.
Patiently tending to the seeds of love while also searching for those hidden gems of goodness within another person.
What a fantastic analogy. And I think that speaks to the transformative power of love that both Merton and Kierkegaard are pointing to. It's not just about fleeting emotions or satisfying our own needs. It's about participating in something much bigger than ourselves.
Yeah. It's about recognizing that we have a role to play in helping love flourish, both within ourselves and in our relationship. Wow, what a journey. So for those of us just diving back in, we explored two incredibly insightful perspectives on love today. Merton challenged us to embrace the paradox of unselfish love, to put the well-being of the beloved first while respecting their individuality. And Kierkegaard gave us that powerful concept of presupposing love, choosing to believe in the potential for love, even when it's hard to see.
Yeah, and weaving through both of their ideas is this really powerful message. Love is a verb. It's a conscious choice we make every day, a commitment to cultivating those qualities of patience, humility, generosity, and forgiveness that allow love to truly blossom.
So as you move through your day, dear listener, here's a final thought to ponder. If love is about patiently nurturing the good in others and ourselves, how might that change how we approach all of our relationships, the good, the bad, and the complicated? Something to chew on from the deep dive. Until next time.